welcome. There's a couple new faces here, and of course we should be in prayer for everybody who's a regular here at Soul Grace, but who are overseas or traveling or back home for summer vacation. Keep them in your prayers. We have a lot of folks traveling all around the world right now. We are looking at a series starting in using as a base Hebrews chapter 11, which of course is the famous lineage of faithful people. It says they call them the heroes of the faith, people who demonstrated bold, enormous faith. And they lived bold and courageous lives, and they're held up as these examples for us of what faith is. See, because the writer of Hebrews, he gives us this definition in Hebrews 11:1, which you can kind of see on the screen. It's this definition of faith, but they don't want to stop there. They have to go further to give us the narratives of faith, to give us these examples. And so what we're going to be doing each week is looking at these people that are lifted up and raised up as examples of faith. Last week, we of course looked at Abel. He's the first name mentioned. And this week we'll look at Enoch. And I gave a disclaimer last week, so if you're here last week, you're going to have to hear it again, and that's fine. The disclaimer is this. When you look at this list, it's very easy just to say, well, those names like Moses and David and Abraham, great spiritual people, and you know they're great role models, but I don't exactly live up to that. So the answer to the question of God faith is no, I probably don't have enough faith. But I want to caution us against that. Because when we look at each of these people's lives, what we're going to see is that they're incredibly messed up people. They're incredibly immoral people at times. They make horrible decisions. They're selfish, self-centered, petty, and lost. And yet, the writer uses them as examples of what faith looks like. As a way to say, listen, these people are just like you and me. And yet, they just demonstrated amazing faith. Now, the writer of Hebrews would say, you can too. You have a power, if you tap into the gospel, that enables you and me to show an enormous faith like these people did. Now, we're going to look today at Enoch. And I'll be honest, in putting together this message, it was incredibly difficult because there's only 3 verses that talk about Enoch in the Bible. He's here for like a minute. He lived for 365 years, apparently, but he was only on scriptures for about a second. And they give us barely any information about him, except that by faith it says that he walked with God. It says that he didn't taste death. And as a side note, I know if you're reading that passage and you're like, come on, 365 years, really? Really, you're going to try to tell me that this guy lived 365 years, and apparently his son Methuselah lived 999 years. And let me tell you, I know that that's very easy to say, well, this is why I don't like the Bible. It's not real, it's not literal, it's a nice story, it's symbolic, blah, blah, blah. If you do that, if you look at the years of how long Enoch lived and you want to get rid of the Bible because of that, you're going to have to get rid of a lot of ancient cultures, because in almost every ancient culture, Babylonian, Greek, Roman, all Sumerian, Persian, all of them have accounts of people living tremendously longer lives than what you and I are used to. So don't let that trip you up this morning. I know it can be a little confusing, and we can talk about that later. But the important thing to know about Enoch and what the Bible says about him is that he walked with God. And he had faith in that walk. See, the Bible and life will tell you this. Every one of us, the Bible would say, has faith. To some degree and in some proportion, you and me have faith in something. It's the reason we get out of bed in the morning. If you didn't have faith or hope in something, you wouldn't get out of the bed. What's the point? No. If somebody tells you, I don't have faith, they don't understand that they have faith. They just don't know where they've put that faith just yet. The Bible's very clear to say, you and I, we're going to put our faith in something. Either we're going to put our faith in things like our career, our status, our achievement, our comfort, our security. We're going to put our faith in that, our hope in that, and that's what's going to get you out of the bed in the morning. Or you can root your faith so far deep down in something else, something that Enoch did. So I want to explore today what it means to have faith. Now, like I said, you have faith, I have faith, we all have faith, everyone you know has faith in something. And the Bible gives you 2 options this morning. It's going to be what I call having faith in what I call the lie or the great lie. Faith in the walk, but ultimately we need faith in the one. There's faith in every one of us, and you're either going to put it in the lie, what I call the lie, or you're going to put it in the walk like Enoch did. But ultimately, to get to be an Enoch, you're going to have to find your faith in the one. What do I mean by the lie? Let me explain this. There's one other time, a very famous time in the Bible, when this verb walk, the exact Hebrew word, is used again. Do you know when it comes? Anybody? We're a small group. You can raise your hand if you want. Nobody? Yes, good. Genesis 3, do you remember this? It says, God walked in the cool of the day. You see, from the very beginning, you and I were meant to walk with him. Do you realize that when he made Adam and Eve, he walked with them? He wasn't just the Lord of the creation and created it and let him go. It says that he walked in the cool of the day looking for Adam and Eve. You remember that old hymn? It says about walking, I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on roses and the voice I hear falling on my ear the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me and he talks with me. And he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none has ever known. He speaks, and the sound of his voice is so sweet that birds hush their singing, and the melody that he gave to me within my heart is ringing. He walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tarry there, none has ever known. That was what you and I were made for. To tarry with him in the garden, to walk with him, to talk with him. And on the cool of one day, God went for a walk. Only the people who he had been walking with weren't walking with him anymore. You remember God says to Adam and Eve, of course, he's God, he knows where they are, but he says, where are you? And they say, we're hiding. And he says, why are you hiding? Because we're naked. He says, who told you you're naked? See what happened? The walk stopped. When Adam and Eve stopped walking with God. Here's what happened. It's very easy to say, well, Adam and Eve broke a rule. I know, Pastor, you're telling me don't break the rules. Stay morally correct. Keep all the rules of the Bible. That's actually not what Adam and Eve did alone. Do you know what broke up the walk of Adam and Eve and God in the cool of the day? Why they stopped walking with him? It's because they bought into a lie. Do you remember what the serpent says to them? They didn't just break a rule. They bought into a lie when the serpent says, you can do a better job than he can. Remember, the serpent says to them, of course he doesn't want you to eat of that tree because he says, quote unquote, you will be like God. See, Adam and Eve, and they're no different than you and I, put their faith in something. They put their faith in the idea that fundamentally, at their core, they could control their life better than God. They knew the right direction to go. They knew the right speed to go in their life. They knew it, and if only they could have control, they could be doing a smashingly better job at running their life than the Lord of the universe. That's the lie. The lie says, fundamentally, you and I, we can do it on our own. We're okay on our own. Our lives are up to us. The course of our life is determined by us. And you know what the lie does? It stops the walk. God, from the beginning of time, wanted to walk with us in the garden in the cool of the day. The serpent comes in with the ultimate propaganda, the ultimate lie to say, listen, you can manage yourself better than God can. And if we're honest with ourselves this morning, is that not how we fundamentally, at the core, live our lives? Yes, we say that we trust God, and yes, we say we follow the way he wants us to go, but fundamentally, deep down, there's that little voice inside of you that says, if only I had the keys to the car, my success will guide me. My achievements, I've earned it. I've gotten the rights to do this. It's my rights. I know what I'm doing with my life much better than he does. That's the great lie. And if you want to test this morning, if you want a litmus test to see if you've bought into this lie, to see how Adam and Eve, do you notice what Adam and Eve do to each other when God exposes them? Do you remember this part in Genesis? When God says, listen, you've bought into this lie, you've stopped the walk, we no longer are walking together. Adam says, it's her fault. And Eve says, it's that serpent's fault. See, when you and I operate from a place of control in our lives, when you and I think that we can do better than God can do in guiding the path of our lives, we stop the walk. But you know how you do it? It's when you get exposed for that and you blame others. You deflect. You guard. You defense. You say, yeah, it's not my fault, it's their fault. It's that person at work who wronged me. It's that person in the relationship who wronged me. They didn't give me what I deserve. It's deflection. It's blame. And it's been happening since the beginning of time. This great lie that Adam and Eve bought into was that fundamentally they and we can do a better job at living our lives than God can, and that stops the walk. And they put their faith in a lie. And the minute that was exposed, the minute God says, look, you're naked now, you see how naked and bare and how out of control you are, the minute that they see that, they can't stand it. And they say, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's that thing's fault. Only if my parents had raised me better, only if I'd gotten into a better school, only if that person hadn't snubbed me, only if I'd gotten that promotion at work. There's a endless list of blame and deflection to cover up. So you can have faith in that. And fundamentally, that's the way we operate. But Enoch gives us another thing to have faith in. And he has faith in what I call the walk. That's faith in the lie. And what it'll get you to be is a petty, deflecting person, blaming others for everything that goes wrong in your life. But Enoch, it says, walked with God. Now let's pull that illustration out a little bit. We don't know what that means. Enoch walked with God. We don't know if that meant that he prayed every day. We don't know if that means he read his Bible every day. But let's pull this illustration out. The Hebrew word here is literally to take a walk. It's not being symbolic. It's saying he literally walked with God. What does that mean for you and me? Two things, at the very least. Two things. If you're walking with God, you're going to be walking one in direction and one in degree with him. Think about this. If you take a walk with anybody, a walk with your husband, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever, you have to go in the same direction and to the same degree that they do. Let me break that down real quick. The same direction. If you're walking in faith with God, it means that you're going in the direction that he wants to go, not necessarily the direction that you want to go. And that's incredibly frustrating for many of us. See, back to the lie. The lie tells you you choose the direction of your life. And if it's not working out the way you want it, something's wrong with him. That's the great lie. But to walk with God is to say, listen, God, right now, you're taking me somewhere that I don't really like. And I can't see the light at the end of this tunnel. I don't know where this road is going to take me. But I'll be one in direction with you. It doesn't just mean being in one in direction with God and walking in the same way, even if it's not the way you think you should be going in your life. It also means walking one in degree, the same in pace. And this is incredibly frustrating for people like you and me, us, educated city types who want everything to move fast. We want speed in our life. We want efficiency. We want our life. We want it to be clear. God, what are you doing? Where are you taking me? And how fast are you going to get me there? We want to know when we're going to find that spouse that we can marry. We want to know when we're going to get that promotion that we deserve. We want to know where our future is going, and we want to know now. And God says, if you want to walk with me, you walk in the direction that I walk, and you walk at the pace that I walk, which might be incredibly frustrating for you. To have faith in the walk, it means to put your faith in the God who says, go at my speed and in my direction in your life, even if and most often when you can't understand why. That's faith. That's trust. And you're going to put it in something. And it's either going to be in the idea that you know the direction of your life and you know the pace of your life, or it's going to be in the knowing that he knows that for you and that you're walking with him. Even when, and most often when, you're confused, frustrated, fatigued. How did Enoch do this? This is the story I love. This little girl told this one time after Sunday school. And it says Enoch was taken up into heaven. And what does that even mean? Before I go on to this next point, this person writes, the only way I know how to describe it is the way a little girl described it to her mother one day when she came home from Sunday school. She said, "Teacher told us about Enoch and how he walked with God." Her mother said, "Well, what about Enoch?" And the little girl put it something like this. She says, "It seems that every day God would come by and say to Enoch, 'Hey Enoch, would you like to walk with me?' And Enoch would come out of his house and down to the gate, and he'd go walking with God." It got to the place, the little girl says, where Enoch, he enjoyed walking with God so much that he'd be waiting at the gate of his house every day. He'd just wait at the gate, and God would come to him and says, "Enoch, today, do you want to walk with me?" And they'd go for a walk. And one day God came along and said, "Enoch, let's take a long walk. I have so much to tell you." So they were walking and walking and walking and walking. And finally Enoch said, "It's getting late in the afternoon. I'd better get back home." And God said to him, "Enoch, you're closer to my home than you are to yours. You come on home with me." And so Enoch went home with God. Do you feel like that in your life at all with God right now? That you wait at the gate for him, eagerly saying, "I want to take a walk." Do you feel him saying, "You're closer to my home now than you are to yours. You're closer to the walk with me than you are to that lie that takes you off the walk with me"? Do you have any of that passion for God in your life where you wait at the gate for him? You're only going to get that, brothers and sisters, if you know about the great walk that took place to bring you back into relationship with God. You're only going to be able to trust God with the direction and the degree in your life to the extent that you are now intimate with him yet again. I read that story of the little girl with Enoch because it's so sweet and endearing. It's intimate. It's Enoch waiting at the gate, jumping up and down, saying, "Where are you, God? Come take me for a walk." You need that intimacy, and I need that intimacy. We crave it because the lie has taken us out of that intimacy. You need, and I need, to know that we can take a walk with God yet again in the cool of the day. You need to know of an intimate walk. Let me give you a silly story, okay? And it's going to embarrass my wife, I know, who's here today. I once took a walk in the cool of the day, and I remember this walk very, very intensely. So my wife and I, as many of you know, we started dating in New York City. And when we started dating, it was late March, early April. And if you've ever been to New York City at that time, you know that it's chilly. You need a sweater and a jacket, and it's the cool of the day. It's cold. And when my wife and I started dating, we knew she would be moving away in 2 weeks to go live overseas. So we had 2 weeks to just cram in as much time as we could with each other, as much special moments as we could with each other. And I remember one that was a walk. I remember a walk on the cool of the day in Central Park. And I remember we walked, and I grabbed my wife's hand, and her hand was, I still remember, was cold. And my hand was warm, and I remember hers was cold. And I walked with her hand in hand at the same speed. We walked slowly together. The rest of the world faded around us. We were in the middle of Central Park, and you wouldn't have known where we were. We saw nothing but one another. We walked together. We talked together in the cool of the day. Now, why did I tell you that story? To make you think that I'm a die-hard romantic? No. Because that walk was great. And I even remember that walk. But that's a shadow. That walk of what you and I can have with God. That is a shadow of what he does for us. In the cool of the day, when we are cold, his hand reaches out to us. You want to talk about a slow pace? Look at the cross and see Christ dying slowly in agony for you. You want to forget the world around you and be immersed in his love again? Remember that it went dark on the cross. And Jesus was cut off from his Father's hand so that you, once again, could be swept up in it. Do you want to be like Enoch at the gate, waiting for the next moment that he could have with God? You want to be like I was in that park, waiting for the next moment I could spend with who would become my wife? Know that Jesus rose and said, you can wait for me. I will be with you until the end of the age. Do you want to walk like that with God again? You have to know him intimately. You have to feel him on the cool of the day taking your hand. Because of what he did on the cross, he says, walk with me and talk with me. If you and I remember the gospel every day and we wait at the gate, he'll be true to his word. He will come because he already has shown on the cross. You need not put faith in that lie. It will get you nowhere. Have faith in the walk, but have faith in the one who gave his life up for you so that you once again can sing that song. I come to the garden alone while the dew is still on roses. And the voice I hear falling on my ear the Son of God discloses. And he walks with me and he talks with me. And he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Brothers and sisters, right now, the gospel says, no matter how many lies you've bought into, no matter how many mistakes you've made, no matter how continually you live the great lie out of your life, you once again can walk with him. And the cross is proof of it. He wants your hand yet again. And he went to death to get it back. Give it to him. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father,